Welcome to the Kenya Wanam Movement, KWM podcast. Today we're doing a deep dive into something that's really getting a lot of attention across Kenya. It's the Kenya Wanam Movement itself, KWM, and we're going to unpack their perspective, especially from their recent publication, Why Kenyans Must Reject the Finance Bill 2025, and why this fight can't be tribal. It's quite a powerful look, not just at a policy, but, well, a bigger call to action, too.
That's right. And our goal here really is to kind of distill what KWM is arguing, what solutions they're proposing. We want to give you a clear but thorough grasp of where they're coming from and their methods. And importantly, this is all drawn straight from their own materials. So it's not just about the bill itself. It's more about understanding this specific voice, this KWM voice in the national conversation and the thinking behind their stance.
Okay, let's get into it then. So KWM, right away, they seem to focus on what they see as the core issue with the Finance Bill 2025. Their argument is basically, it's not really about economic growth, not at all. They use much stronger words, actually. They frame it as being about exploitation and greed. That's a pretty direct way to put it.
It is. And what's really interesting is how they take what could be just a financial critique and make it, well, a moral argument. They keep highlighting how they see this bill hurting the most vulnerable people disproportionately. They're very clear on that. In their view, it targets those who really can't afford it. They specifically mention, hardworking boda riders, those motorcycle taxis you see everywhere, a huge part of the informal economy, and small-scale traders, farmers. They say these are the people being forced to carry the weight of the national debt, and their point is these aren't the folks who ran up the debt in the first place. So it's fundamentally unjust as they see it.
Right. And KWM really emphasizes that contrast, doesn't it? Their headline point is stark. The hustler pays the price, not the elite. They argue that while these new taxes hit everyday Kenyans hard, the wealthy, well, they find ways around it. Dodging taxes, using schemes to avoid paying their fair share, that sort of thing. They give examples, too, like teachers facing salary freezes while small business owners, informal traders, they're dealing with higher costs. It paints a picture of a really uneven playing field.
And that leads right into another big point KWM makes, this idea of taxation without service. They describe a situation where basic services are failing all over. Communities lacking clean water, clinics without basic medicines, infrastructure crumbling, even though people are paying taxes. And yet, despite all that, the government, according to KWM, wants more tax money. They don't just call it unfair. They use the term legalized theft, which is quite provocative. It suggests it's not just incompetence, but something deliberate.
Wow. Legalized theft. That's strong. And they back this up by pointing out the difference in lifestyles, right? They have this section, public officials live in luxury while Kenyans struggle. They talk about officials with, fuel-guzzling cars, lavish retreats, inflated per diems, those daily allowances that often cause public anger. And at the same time, ordinary people are facing higher VAT on food, essentials getting more expensive. KWM says this gap, this disparity is wider than ever.
Definitely. And building on that, KWM is really concerned about small businesses. Small businesses suffering under this bill. They explain how new taxes on things like mobile payments, imports, turnover are seen as, well, crippling for micro businesses. We're talking about small shopkeepers, street vendors, people selling stuff online, folks who KWM argues are already facing hurdles and are now being hit again just for trying to make a living and, contribute. The argument is these policies actually hurt the economy at the grassroots level.
And it's not just traditional businesses, is it? They also talk about the digital space. The digital economy is being targeted, they say. Their publication claims freelancers, content creators, online entrepreneurs. They're specific targets. KWM suggests the government is intentionally going after this independent workforce. Their take is that maybe self-sufficient citizens are seen as a threat to what they call broken systems. So these taxes aren't just for revenue, but maybe to silence innovation and entrepreneurship. That's a heavy accusation about intent.
Yeah, it is. And linking this to wider governance issues, KWM also strongly believes that simply raising taxes won't fix existing waste. They point to the government's track record on corruption, things like ghost workers, inflated contracts, failed projects that just drain public funds. So their argument is, look, pouring more money into what they see as a leaky, corrupt system, it won't help. The money will just vanish without ever reaching the people. It won't solve the underlying problems or improve services. It's a really critical point about whether taxes can even be effective without transparency and accountability.
It all culminates in this really powerful metaphor they use. They call the whole thing a national mugging, organized and legalized. They keep coming back to the lack of transparency, accountability, and visible improvements, despite people paying more. For KWM, the conclusion's pretty bleak. Bad policies benefit no one but the corrupt. It paints a picture of, well, deliberate harm, not just mistakes in policy. But this is where I think it gets really interesting. KWM doesn't just leave it at the critique. After painting that grim picture of the finance bill, they shift gears. They move towards something broader and maybe even more important, a call for unity in action. They make this absolutely critical point. No tribe escapes the impact of this bill. They say it very plainly. Fuel prices, utility bills, and rent aren't divided by ethnicity. It's a powerful way to argue against using tribalism as a tool for political manipulation, because the struggle is shared.
Absolutely. This is really core to KWM's whole philosophy. They put out this strong call for unity. Kenyans must unite and raise their voices. Their belief is simple. Unity is strength. When people come together, regardless of tribe, against policies they see as unjust, then they become, as KWM puts it, a force that cannot be ignored.
Mm.
This bill, they argue, hits everyone. So unity isn't just nice to have, it's essential for any effective response.
And they're quite practical about how this unity starts, aren't they? It's not just about big protests immediately. They say protest starts with conversation, not conflict.
Mm-hmm.
They really emphasize that change begins small in homes and offices. Just talking to friends, sharing info about the bill, working together to understand it, breaking down the bill. The idea is these conversations, these small beginnings, are what grow into real action. It makes getting involved feel, well, less daunting.
Exactly. And what's really insightful is their focus on the power of groups, collective action over online noise. KWM draws a line here. They say real change is achieved through offline organizing. They believe even a small group, say 5 friends working together, can achieve more concrete results than, thousands of retweets or likes. It's about coordinated action, not just online chatter. They suggest practical things like writing open letters, collecting signatures, even visiting local government representatives. It really highlights their focus on tangible efforts, moving things offline.
Right. And building on that, on the idea of organized real-world action, that's where they introduce their own platform, Wantam. They position it not just as another social network, but specifically as a space for those who want genuine change.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant to be a tool, really, for the kind of citizenship they're advocating.
Yes, and its functions, as KWM describes them, are very focused. It's a place to share ideas, propose counterproposals, and organize meetups. The key thing they stress is that it's about practical solutions, not empty rhetoric or online popularity contests. It's meant to channel that collective energy into something constructive, a space for real discussion and planning, different from the usual online noise.
And to make sure it stays constructive, they have a clear rule about dialogue.
Yeah.
Hateful speech weakens the cause. They're upfront that the Wantam platform bans hate speech and is all about constructive dialogue for meaningful change, unquote. They see insults, tribal slurs, online fights, basically as distractions, things that divide people who should be working together and actually end up helping, as they put it, the oppressor. So it's about keeping the focus on the issues and building bridges, not burning them.
Exactly. And if you tie it all together, the KWM message and this platform, it's really about empowering ordinary citizens, empowering them to work together to demand transparency, demand accountability from the government. It's a vision for change starting from the ground up, with citizens who are informed, united, and organized. And they see Wantam as a vital tool for making that happen. So they do encourage people directly. Visit www.wantamnotam.com. Create an account. Start sharing your ideas that could help change your village, your city, your whole nation. That's how KWM believes real change starts. One conversation, one connection, one organized step at a time.
So when we wrap this up, what's the main takeaway for you, the listener?
Well, the Kenya Wantam movement offers this really coherent vision for change. They're pushing for strong citizen action, for everyone to get critically involved with policy. Yes, they have a very sharp critique of the Finance Bill 2025, but crucially, they also offer a way forward, a path based on unity, practical solutions, and getting organized, moving beyond just complaining to actually doing something. Yeah, and maybe a final thought to leave you with. Consider how platforms like Wantam, these accessible tools, could actually change how people engage with civic life. Could they create real spaces for focused, constructive action? And maybe think about the power of those individual conversations we mentioned, those chats in homes, in offices. How important are they really in sparking bigger movements in any community that's facing tough challenges? It's a powerful idea, isn't it? That significant change might really just start with a simple conversation.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Thank you for listening to the Kenya Wantam movement KWM podcast.